that time at TMZ, because it's an interesting place to be and people have, different feelings about it. So what was your experience like?
Well, I want to start off by saying you said that few are allowed to be in when it comes to the space of like being a black talent at TMZ. I wouldn't necessarily say allowed. I would say that when you're in mainstream media spaces like that, they do what they know to do and what people allow them to do. So, from, me coming in under Van and Raquel and them making sure that like people in the room knew my name, my opinion was valued. I was able to do a bunch of different things. That set the tone there. And then moving forward with me being there, we have the TMZ Black Caucus, which is about 15 to 30 black people who you don't see every day, but they're in tech, they're in production, you know what I mean? And now you're starting to see them on the show because I'm not there anymore.
Right.
But a lot of that was, even when I was there, a lot of it was like, yo, y'all know I'm not the only black person here, right? Like, it's okay to have me on the topics. I don't have to, there's no competition. I know my personality in the room. So I know that like the space that I'm taking up, nobody's coming in this space. And if they come, baby, get out my way. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's more than just me here. So I wouldn't say allowed. I would say that there's a thing that happens when you get to certain rooms in mainstream media where they feel like if we have one or two, we're good. She can speak for everybody until that person is comfortable enough to say, no, I can't. And I would do a lot of that. Like, yo, this is, I can't, hey, we need this, we need that. Like, and they listen. They, you know what I mean? They leaned in. So my time there was like, it went through like different transitions. Like, I came in as a tour guide. When I was a tour guide, which, when you're a tour guide, it doesn't matter if you black, you white, you yellow. You're a tour guide. So it's like they don't really know you in the room. You're not in the room all day long. You're there, you pitch on the show, and then you leave and go do the tours. Van was made it a point to make sure that they knew who I was, but also my work spoke for itself too. And I think that that's one thing that I want people to really understand is like, it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what you have going on. If you do good work, people can't deny what you have going on. So like I broke exclusives from the tour bus. Like, I was the first person that Mariah Carey talked to about her divorce from Nick Cannon from
I
the
know
tour
that's
bus.
right.
I was the only person that Larry King spoke to about Donald Trump from the tour bus. So those news aspects made people in the newsroom be like, who is this girl? And like, you know what I mean? Because you get training on the tour bus, but you're trained on a script to give the tour. You don't get training on when you see these celebrities, how do you make news? How do you have the conversation? But these are things that like, just were embedded in me. I had a show prior to TMZ on my YouTube channel, Loren Lorasa TV, which is where a lot of the Bronco grinding content is going to live and does live now, where I was doing this before them. So I kind of knew like, you always want to know what isn't out there. Like, how can we get to the next point in the story? So from that, people in the newsroom started to get to know my name. And once I realized that, I'm like, hey, I need to be in this newsroom. Like, I really want to be on the news desk. How can we, figure that out? So it was a challenge. I was a production assistant when I felt like I shouldn't have been, because I'd already done production assisting, a lot of it in New York. I went from that to being a production assistant on the news desk, just to kind of like watch or whatever the case may be. But when I was a PA, again, I was very like, I know what I'm doing. So at least I thought I knew what I was doing from that aspect. So like,
Right.
there were certain things I would notice, like, okay, cool, we're covering the Roseanne show is over. What's going to happen with the couch? The couch is legendary in the Roseanne show. I went to the news director, who I didn't know was a news director at the time, and said, hey, can I find the couch? No one's talking about the couch. Everybody on Twitter wants to know where the couch is going. And he was like, I mean, if you can figure out where to reach out to, we'll reach out together. Just make a list. We made a list. I came back to him. We reached out. We found the Roseanne couch. I broke my first story as a production assistant.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, like I understand where people are coming from, because you only see me, right? And that's not synonymous to TMZ. That's the industry, especially when you get to a certain point. So I always want to make that clear, so that's not a direct hit, but it is what it is at the end of the day, because you can only carry out practices that you believe are okay. So it is what it is. But at the same time, your work will always speak for itself. So I want people to always understand that, like, when you got to see me in that newsroom, it wasn't because, oh my God, they needed a black girl. They had Raquel. Raquel is amazing. That's my big sister. She was, you know what I mean? Raquel is Raquel. You're not, that's her lane. I'm not coming in her lane, because then I got to watch where she's, swerving. Like, Raquel does her thing. And when she was there, she was doing it. They didn't need another black girl, but my work spoke for itself. So I rose to where I was because of that. And then, I just got to learn the ranks of things, and Van and Raquel left, and then Ahmaud Arbery happened, George Floyd happened, and I think during that time, being home in the pandemic and really having to teach people in the world, but also, you know, the people I was working with internally, like what this meant, what was happening, which wasn't new to me. Like, I'm from the inner city, I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. So, like, all of this stuff, when you talk about police brutality and just different things that are happening, I always say I'm not a politician. I might not know all the right words, but I grew up in situations where I can tell y'all how it really feels to be here. I can speak for people who like are there and are going through it actively. Might not know all the correct, you know what I mean, like who you go to fix it or whatever, but I was just very much real in that. And that's just kind of where I center myself, is like, you know, I work off of like my personal experiences, and it worked for me. And I just continue to do that. And 7.5 years later, here I am, resigned. And like, you know, I feel like I did enough there where like I learned enough. It was like a boot camp, it was like a master class. And now here I am, brown girl grinding and doing news kind of independently and just figuring some stuff out for myself.
I love that. So you mentioned how you spotted stories when you were a tour guide, a production assistant. What is different for you now that you are not in that sort of ecosystem, as far as you getting stories and,
Like
breaking
working for
exclusive?
myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the biggest difference is like at the end of the day, you're always challenged with, people are like, oh, what platform are you calling from? And
Right.
if it's one that they can't recognize off the top of their, like, you know, like their mind, they're like, oh, okay. But then what I begin to realize is like, if I'm teaching people how to talk about me in this new space, like, you know, Brown Girl Grinding is a broadcast media production company. We do creative marketing. We focus on content and community. But at the hem of it, I always wanted to have a media brand. I couldn't though, because I was at the biggest media brand. I couldn't create an engine that competed with them. So now when I'm talking to people and they're like, oh, where are you at now? I'm like, I'm at Brown Girl Grinding. And they're like, what is that? Like the name alone, people are like, well, what is that? And like talent is like, oh, okay, so like what does that mean? When you talk to people in a way where you're confident about what you have going on, and you know, like I never announced like, oh, I'm not at TMZ anymore, I'm going to be doing Brown Girl Grinding. I just went on the Breakfast Club, and then like the next week, not even the next week, honestly, prior to the Breakfast Club, I was live tweeting Carly Russell's the first press conference they did after she had made it home. And people were in my comments like, yo, like you weren't at work today, because they didn't know. Everybody said, you weren't at work today, go live, we want to hear what you have to say about it. Because it had gotten to the point where there are certain things that people want to hear me talk about. You know what I mean? Those are sweet spots for me personally, but those are things that you're used to hearing me on the show. So I was like, okay, cool. So I went on live. I remember this was like maybe Thursday, Friday. I think I had resigned Tuesday. Um, and I went on live. That was the biggest live I've had in like since the pandemic, when everybody was sitting at home. I think I had like 500 to 600 people on there who were just looking to hear me talk about Carly Russell. And I was like, oh wow. So like, people aren't really like, the TMZ moniker is there. The brand is big and it deserves to be because of what they do. But at the end of the day, if you got it, you got it.
And they're looking for you and your perspective.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I really like leaned in and will lean into with Brown Girl Grinding and everything that we have coming with our podcast, is that the fact that like, they have breaking news, they have everything, but they don't have me. They don't have my opinion. So because of that, like that's kind of where I'm leaning. So it hasn't been the most difficult process. It's not as easy being new, I will say that, but it's like I'm new, but I'm not starting at zero. Like I
Right.
have relationships. I have people that I've worked with for years via TMZ and even before that, who I've worked with in a certain extent where they're like, well, where are you going? How can we help? What can we do? You know what I mean? Like I have people that I'm still waiting to call back, because I know that there are certain things I need to have in place for when I call them, because that's big boy conversation, and they're willing to help and they're willing to move it. But a lot of that is because when I was at TMZ, it wasn't just about, okay, while I'm at TMZ, it was about, this is my career outside of here, in here. Like one of the things I used to always say in the room is like, I run into these people in real life. You know what I mean? So whatever I say, I'm gonna stand on. However I feel, I'm gonna stand on. Whatever we're covering, whether I might agree with y'all or I don't, people know me as the girl from TMZ. And when I'm outside of here, they're not running into you guys. They're running into me. So I
Right.
have to learn to stand on it. And because of that, I've learned to do things in a way where, like, you know, integrity and morals come in. And I think people appreciate that. So now, you know, when I'm placing the phone calls or people are reaching out to me, I still get calls every single day for exclusive news. A lot of that we've channeled toward our Instagram, Brown Girl Grinding, my Twitter accounts. People really, like, my personal accounts go crazy. Like, I shared videos from Beyonce's concert in Atlanta, the first date. We got like 5,000 shares. I've never seen shares that big. Like, and a lot of it is because, again, people are just like, oh, okay, cool, we like her. Like, and they got to know me a bit during that week at the Breakfast Club differently than they did at TMZ, because I'm not in a room competing with like 8 people to have the mic. So it's been a journey, but at the same time, now being Brown Girl Grinding, I think people are starting to remember the work that I did regardless of where they met me at. And it's always been the same me regardless of where I am. So that literally has helped me so much.
I love that. So, what is one thing that you will take away from your time at TMZ that you will bring forward in your work wherever you go?
Doing good work is like, it's untouchable, because like people can say what they want about TMZ, but you can't get around them. Like, you cannot. They are literally leading conversations. They are literally like, at the helm of everything. Artists who hate them still need, what I mean, need to use them for rollouts and, releases or whatever. And it's because the vehicle that they've built, the good work that they've done as far as like the business perspective of TMZ, regardless about how you feel about them as people, you literally, they've built an engine in a well-oiled machine that does not stop.
Right.
So for me, watching, Harvey get up every single day. Harvey is very successful. He don't got to come into work every day. That man is at work from 3 to like, I would say like, I'm probably checking out like 6, 7. You know what I mean? And he's still, if you need to call him, you can, and taking meetings and finding other ways to develop the business. Watching him work, I literally learned, like, bro, at the end of the day, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not doing good work, executing, showing timeliness is a big thing in news. I'm waking up right now, like, without no need to, just on a I believe in my platform. I'm up at like 5:30 in the morning because I've learned the news cycle really works from 5:30, even before that.
Yep.
But really 5:30 to 8 this time. After that, you're kind of done. Everything is just a little bit more like everything is regurgitating from the morning. So if Brown Girl Grinding isn't in the morning uploads on your Instagram feed, your Twitter feeds, we out the game.
Facts.
You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I really learned is like the work ethic. Like, I've always had a work ethic, but I think it's like you can't just get around me. Like, there's no way that like you're coming into a room that I'm in and you don't know I'm there. You online and you know what I mean? Like, we're going to be that next. You can't get around this, because that's the college that I've been brought up in.
I love that. I love hearing that. I especially love that you know that you can build that without whatever he had. You know what I'm saying? Just that essence of hard work and grinding. So you mentioned relationships. Did you find it hard? Because I know I had a website, and I know there was a period of time where some people felt unsure or uncomfortable just because, it's my job to report the news sometimes. So, did you ever run into situations, or have you ever come across those things where you have to deal with people being unsure? Not so much,
Girl,
maybe they don't trust you, or maybe
the
they
people
do.
will hang up on you. Like, I've had calls hung up. I've been through all of it. Like, you have to think about it, right? Like, we're first, but and to be first and be factual is a business of its own. It's different being first. Being first and factual is like you the best of the best, right? But to get there, there's so many cross checks. So, for instance, if even me today on my own platform, if I'm breaking a story, there are certain measures that I'm going to go through because of how I've been trained. That means I may call family, I may call personal friends, former business owners, whatever, you know what I mean? But a lot of times when you're a journalist, especially an investigative journalist, you get so lost in the investigation, you forget the person part of it. And that was one of the things that always conflicted me about just this job in general, before and after TMZ. But what I learned is it's kind of a part of the business, but also too, now I'm in a space where I can pick and choose what I want to do, right? So like, if I don't want to call you and, you're a mom and your 25-year-old famous son just overdosed, and I'm calling you to say, hey, is this really true? Knowing that as a mom, like, I know as a person probably what you're going through, or I can imagine, right? Because I don't know, I don't have a kid. But like, I put all that to the side to be a journalist and call you to confirm a story because this is my job. Me now with Brown Girl Grinding, I can pick and choose and say, hey, look, if I don't get this from the rep, do I really want to call the parents?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's the opportunity that I've been granted myself by stepping out and saying, hey, I'm going to do this on my own. But when I wasn't doing this on my own, there were certain phone calls and cold calls that you just have to make because it's a part of your job. So I've had everything from people hang up on me to people cuss me out to people, you know, in person be like, hey, because you called me and blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm always here for the conversation. I'm not backing away from nothing because, anything I do, I'm going to stand on. If not, there's been times where I've been like, I'm not making that call. I got to see them people in real life. Y'all make that call.
Completely agree with that. So, what were the conversations like, or what are the decision makers sometimes that you choose when you're like, you know what, I got to step away? You don't have to give specifics, but just in general, what are situations that you decided that, you know, I'm going to let business be business?
I mean, you're in the business of not stepping away, right? So business being business doesn't really matter. But I think for me, it's personal safety. Sometimes there have been, you know, stories that like I felt like they, you know, Hollywood lives in a bubble in California, but LA is a whole different world,
Man.
right? So there have been stories where I'm like, bro, I'm not making a call to this person because in LA, where is that going to get me? Like when I run into this person in real life, and then, you know what I mean? Like y'all live in a whole different world. Y'all are beachside houses, and you know what I mean? Like I'm really outside, so it's a little bit different for me. And we also, like, one of the things that I think is like really big that I'm realizing is like us as personalities there, we weren't treated as like talent per se. We're journalists, right? But in 2023, if you're a journalist and you work at a brand, you become a talent.
For sure.
But there's no protection. Like we don't get security budgets. We don't get none of that. So when you see me out, if you got a problem with me, you can walk. I mean, I'm with my friends and like, you know what I mean? So it's on you if you want to come up to me. But you could do that, right, though. You know what I'm saying? So security was always a big thing for me. Like I always wanted to make sure that was a thing. But sometimes another big thing too would just be like, is this worth the downfall that it might create, right? Like, so this story might go up and you might say, hey, I got a story for the day or for the weekend or whatever. But like, is it worth the friendship? Is it worth the relationship? Is there another way to go about this where if it's not worth it, the story is still going to happen. Your people still going to know that it's going down, but like you don't have to be in the center of it. So what I started to do was if there were ever situations like that, I would go to other producers and say, hey, look, I have a really like personal relationship. Like this is like family to me. I'm not calling this person. You're welcome to call. I would rather you do it. You know what I mean? Like, and eventually, you know, we've been working together for so long, they started to understand it, but it's a tough call. And I think when you're new in a room like that or any newsroom, you're not comfortable to say stuff like that at all.
When we come forward, we'll have more with Loren Lorasa. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. CNN is reporting Black Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has asked for a trial date of March 4th, 2024 for former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants. All are accused of crimes involving an alleged scheme of overturning the 2020 election. The request would potentially put the trial a day before Trump competes in the Super Tuesday primary contests. Meantime, the White House can't confirm the comments attributed to Black American soldier Travis King, who crossed into North Korea last month. Black Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said officials have not had contact with North Korea or King. State-run media in North Korea confirmed King crossed into the territory and claimed he did so to flee abuse and racism in the U.S. military. King sprinted into North Korea while on tour of the demilitarized zone. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
Gotta stay fresh, ma. House shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Bounce is back.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580. Are you worried about your credit score? Well, look, you can rebuild it. There are lots of factors that go into determining your credit score, but one of the most effective ways to improve your score is to consistently pay your bills on time, over time. If you're forgetful about payments like me, try automating your bill payments. That way all your creditors get paid on time and you'll have freed yourself of trying to remember. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Okay. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay. Lil YG. Come on, turning it up for us tonight. Getting us lit. You know, I don't move my fingers on songs like this because I don't want the smoke. I'm not involved. Anyway, it's RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You are locked in. We have our special guest, Loren Lorasa, media personality, Brown Girl Grinding. We are also joined by Trent Jackson, Trent the artist, your Keep It Real friend. And we're going to get into a couple of these trending topics right now. You know, Keke Palmer and Usher dropped his new single, boyfriend that features Keke Palmer. I will say the concept for the video, amazing, super cute. Usher is so relevant, so talented that he can recreate, let me slow down, recreate his own video. What is it, 20 almost years later from the Confessions album? He recreated You Don't Have to Call on that, you know. You guys go check it out online if you already haven't. But there was a lot of subs jumping off in this video. Let's talk about, okay, You Don't Have to Call. Just that video in general. That seems like a sub, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Right? Okay, at the end of the video, when Keke's waking up, now we know she says, I'm a mother, and winks. We know that was the t-shirt, the line. But playing is Usher's song, Good Good. And that song, it's one of his newer singles, is about two people that break up, but they still cool. Like, we homies, we just didn't work together. I feel like there's messages all over. Some people feel like Keke is being a little petty in this and Usher's just riding the wave. And that if a guy had done this, a male artist had done this to his ex-female, kind of like what, you know, the only one I can think of off top really quickly is Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears.
He would look bad.
But, it wouldn't be cool. So what are your thoughts on Keke taking advantage of the situation?
I'm here for it. Run it up, sis.
Run it up?
Run it up.
Trent, what do you have to say? We talked about this a couple of times.
We did. It's fun to watch. And a Virgo being a Virgo, that's what we'll chalk it up to.
Listen, I love the
Petty
performance.
boots.
Are you a Virgo?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
That's my exact opposite.
What are you? What's your sign?
A Pisces.
Oh, Lord. I keep running into Pisces, man. Y'all are hell, too.
What sign are you?
I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh, the devil. The Satan.
Baby,
you know
listen,
what?
at least we're honest and upfront about ours. At least we're honest and upfront about ours.
No. We were talking. As you were talking, I was like, you remind me of my good friend, Candace Renee. Shout out to Candace Renee. She's an actress.
You like her? So she your real friend?
We've been friends since high school.
Okay, so like
I roll
like
with
me.
her. But every other Sagittarius is Satan.
No.
So wait. You hear Kamal back there. He said Sagittarius are queen, gaslighters, and Satan.
We get the people going. We're not who hurt you, baby? You
It's a
Come
fact.
on. This is a safe space. You had a little Keke in your life?
Are you November
Nah,
or December?
I ain't never dated a
November
Sagittarius,
22nd.
but
That's why he's saying that, because he ain't never been with one. Because
nah,
if
but
not,
y'all
you
just as friends, y'all can be real chaotic and real
lots of chaos.
I think as you get older, I just said earlier, chaos costs money as you get older. When you get older, as a Sagittarius, and I'm on a cusp, so I'm Scorpio Sag cusp, so I'm like very like all over the place. When you get older, you realize those certain things. Like, you know what you're doing. Like, Keke Palmer knows what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like, this is a very calculated, strategic decision.
A Virgo.
Exactly.
Every part of it.
Right? And it's the same thing with Sagittarius. Is whoever. You know what you're doing. So, we're not, if anybody at this age in y'all life is held to y'all, I want y'all to know, I'm going to look at all the cameras directly.
Please do.
They doing it on purpose.
Talk
and
to
they
the
know
people.
what they're doing.
Yes.
It's up to you if you stick around. But y'all love it here. So it's one of them things. It's kind of like a death row contract. Can I say that here? I didn't throw
I'll walk
I ain't
away.
throw up no fingers. So am I good?
No, you are
Okay.
great.
All right.
You're
All
great.
right. I'm straight.
I'm joking with that. So listen, first of all, I, as a Sagittarius moon, go one layer deeper. I have an appreciation for Sagittarius, so
Well,
but they're
you and I,
interesting.
we've talked about this before.
Because I would have done this video. Like, I would have done the video. Everything that she's done. The T-shirt, I was like, this is genius.
But I think anybody in that position would do it, considering
Absolutely.
everything that happened publicly. Like, why would you not get back?
I think it's fun, but let me say this on the flip side. I am someone that didn't really take issue with Justin Timberlake doing it to Britney. I like a little bit of the rah-rah, just a little bit. I think, a little bit.
It's different when it comes to a guy versus a girl because...
Of course it is.
Yeah, because men have that upper hand where it's like... Certain things are always going to come off as misogynistic,
absolutely
egotistical, whatever. That's why I love Keke doing this, because it's like, it's her being like, we don't normally get this upper hand, right? Like, normally we're bashed for like being independent women who aren't submissive, who won't do this, who don't want to wear that or whatever. She's running it up with the fact that like, okay, whatever, like, and I'm still going to be okay.
But let me ask you this, because is she able to, she could have run this up regardless of who she was with, but is it having more sting because he's not in a place to strike back? He's in a place where a lot of women have found themselves the lesser in the relationship,
Yeah.
I think it's really much sting because we like her as a person. And when you have
that too.
The public on your side and you're likable, we protect those people that
Baby,
we like.
he picked the wrong girl.
Yeah.
He really did.
Picked her. And the crazy thing is that I feel like there should have been a conversation on both ends, right? Like,
absolutely.
He should have had a conversation with her when he felt like, yo, that was a little bit too much. Not even the outfit. First of all, the communication wasn't there in the beginning. I've been saying this from the beginning because if you my man and I'm getting dressed and I'm feeling good and I'm going to go see Usher, I'm sending you pictures. You know what I'm wearing before I get on stage with Usher. So that to me was a little bit off. Like, you're commenting on my outfit because I'm on stage with Usher as if you've never seen the outfit. So if he didn't see the outfit, there was already some signs there that like something's
not clicking.
I mean? Something's not right. But even if you had seen the outfit, the fact that it made him look like so intimidated, and then you're already playing this position of Keke Palmer's boyfriend, Keke Palmer's child's father, right? You're not a person of your own, so you kind of like leaned into that when she does everything she can to big up you, like talks about how amazing of a father you are and like how great your relationship is, even on their show. You know what I mean? Like, she's talked about like, yo, I'm gonna hold it down. I don't care who come to me about you. I don't know nothing. Like, I don't see nothing. We're gonna talk about this at home. They should have talked about this outside of Twitter. He shouldn't have tweeted it.
Right.
At the same time, though, I can understand him feeling like, yo, bro, like, you know the position I'm in. Like, I'm Keke Palmer's boyfriend. That's it.
Well, you know, he gave an exclusive to People,
which was corny.
Right. And it basically, he's saying that they are working on being co-parents, and so I'm assuming that they're not together, at least for now. You know, we could all come back in 3 months and they're posted up together. Like, what you thought?
If he get back with her after this, I don't respect him.
I mean, stranger things have happened. We don't know what his position. You know, he said he's going to focus on his acting career. Darling, during a strike, though, you're going to focus right now. I hope I'm just going to assume you're getting into your craft, because what are you focusing on during the strike?
He has a lot of hurt to build from, so he's going to figure it out.
He really does, right deep down inside.
Yep.
We'll see him, on
ain't
a
no
Tubi
way
movie?
there's no
An
way
all-black feature?
Not even. We won't see him at all.
Maybe, right?
We might see him somewhere, but, like, will we recognize him?
No, because we're not looking for him. We're not checking for him.
This is so mean.
I mean, it really is. You know, I mean, believe in your dream, work hard, and you too can maybe have a career like your brother.
That's crazy that you're talking to Keke Palmer's child father like he's like a 6-year-old at like a panel discussion.
I mean, but see, the thing
he
is,
did it to himself though,
and that's just what I was about to say.
He walked right into it when he started tweeting.
He invited us all into something that we all could have bypassed. Somebody might have still had some commentary, but he invited us all in.
That's why I'm not as mad about her doing all this stuff, because it's like the minute that you let us in and she look, you passed her the baton and she ran it up. I'm not mad about it.
Kept running it up. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got merch. Oh, I don't care. Oh, me and Usher are about to do I'm telling you, that's like a big joker in spades. She hit him with it. When we come forward, we're going to have more with Loren Lorasa. Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about an NFL player that was granted a restraining order against a one-night stand. I think that's pretty interesting. All that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As black folk, we know how to face tragedy and not fall into despair. And yet sometimes the points of pain are felt so acutely, especially when we know full well that we're being treated unfairly by our so-called justice system that at times appears to be anything but just. After more than 30 years of public service, Mark Ridley Thomas is set to be sentenced on Monday, August 21st, for his conviction on bribery and conspiracy in a federal corruption trial. As you well know, Ridley Thomas was found not guilty on 12 of the 19 counts the feds brought against him. This is not your typical corruption case. No lavish trips, no victim, no cash in a brown bag or stashed away in a freezer, no illegal contributions from a wealthy donor, no money received by the accused, no use of taxpayer dollars. There is therefore no need to incarcerate Ridley Thomas to protect the community. Indeed, the probation department has recommended a mere 18-month sentence. But the feds, they want MRT to serve 6 years. 6 years. How is that fair? This happens far too often to defendants who just happen to look a lot like you and me. First, they target you. Then they overcharge you. Then they fight to keep certain folk off the jury. Then they spend millions of your tax dollars prosecuting a victimless $100,000 criminal allegation. Then, typically, they win, and why shouldn't they? In reality, no case of the United States government against you is really a fair trial, if you feel me. Then, after they win, they ask for a sentence of more than 3 times what the probation department is recommending. Again, I ask, how is that fair? I read the federal government's summary document regarding the sentencing of MRT, and the charged language they use is both revealing and despicable. You can clearly see their disdain for the constituent community, for the black clergy who have stood with MRT, and mostly for MRT, daring to exercise his constitutional right to even go to trial to defend himself. The feds demanding a 6-year sentence in this case is their way of punishing an uppity Negro who dared to fight back. Let's hope that the judge in this case sees through this racist masquerade and delivers a sentence of time commensurate with the crime, even as MRT appeals this verdict. There are no good times to be black in America, and sometimes are worse than others. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We welcome your comments.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I, of course, am not alone. I am joined by our guest, media personality Loren Lorasa, and our weekly contributor, Trent Jackson, Trent the artist. Of course, we were talking a little bit about Keke Palmer and her and Usher and, you know, capitalizing on the moment. We all know that social currency is capital in this era, in this generation. So, I mean, do what you do. So, Loren, I want to ask you, now that you have established your own media company, well, you had it before, but now you're able to expand out and sort of, you know, go after areas that you couldn't before because of your employment circumstance. What is something that you hang your hat on that for you is like, this is what brown girl grinding really stands for?
I think it's just kind of being a place of like, well, first of all, let me ask you guys right now. When you think about the spectrum of entertainment, right, and breaking news, exclusive news, what black woman are you listening to right now?
Me? No, I know.
Outside of yourself.
I mean, realistically,
leading conversation.
No, that's
like,
what I'm saying.
We have a lot of amazing women, right? Like we had Tamara Hall,
Right.
Sherry Shepherd. There's a lot of Angela Yee. Like there's a lot, Angie Martinez. So many people. But who right now, of the times right now,
is
are
leading
you
the
going
culture?
to?
Who's Wendy?
You just stumped me.
Who's Wendy? Right, that's true. There's a whole, when Wendy started going through what she went through, because, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, that's who you would say.
Yeah.
Automatically.
That's who we had for about 11 to 13 years.
Right.
Right?
Wow.
Hasn't been another person since then. So I hang my hat on.
Well, look what she
that's
just
my
did.
space. And that's it. And you can't get around me.
Absolutely.
No one, like, it doesn't matter. I say this with confidence. Being trained in the areas that I've been trained in and coming from the background that I've come from, there's no one that can do that space the way that I'm going to do it. So I hang my hat on the fact that we will be the biggest in that space. We're already building toward that. You know what I mean? Like the audience is there. We're engaging. It's a slow start, but slow motion is better than no motion. And I want to make sure I do it right because I know like there's a lot of legalities. So like I've learned and watched it on like the biggest platform. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that, you know, like once you decide to step in the ring, you got to be ready for like the hits that come back. So, you know, just getting on the business side, a lot of things ready, but like I asked you guys that question because when I hang my hat is going to be that. Like, we will be that. I am going to be that. I'm that already. It's just now you're watching me do it in a space that is independently owned and supported by other platforms like a Breakfast Club or, you know, eventually when other people start picking up our media, you know, whether it be you here or, you know, Page 6 or Shade Room or whoever it will be supported by all these people who will also know it as well, too. But I don't think that there's too many platforms you can go to internally and ask about me that and people won't already tell you I'm that and I've been that already. It's just now people are getting to know me outside of the TMZ brand.
100%. I love that. And I love to hear you say that. So, speaking of, will you be able to maintain, should you lock down the Breakfast Club situation, will you be able to maintain Brown Girl Grinding as a separate entity? Is that already locked in to make sure that
When I get the Breakfast Club, Brown Girl Grinding is going to go to another level, because the way that they support, like, they understand where things are today, right? Like, supporting your talent, what they have going on, it back channels to everything that you're doing in that studio every single day, right?
100%.
Like, you watch Charlemagne have TV shows and, you know, podcast networks that are extremely successful, and in mental health conversations. You watch Envy do car shows and podcasts with his wife, and just a bunch of different things. Angela Yee, when she was there, still had her podcast as well that she shot. Lip Service, like, they support it. When Lip Service, when Angela Yee was there, and when Lip Service, when their interviews would go viral, it'll be a part of the rumor report. You know what I mean? Like, when things are happening in Charlemagne or Envy's life outside of the Breakfast Club, it's a part of the rumor report. They bring it in. And I think being in a situation where that is the case, we have no choice but to be, you know what I mean, that center of it. I do think that there will have to be certain things that I will have to be okay with being exclusive to them on. But I also think that from what I've experienced anyway, they will be completely okay with me building bigger in that space, because, again, like I said to you guys, like, you can't even name a person, honestly, right? So if I'm that person and I'm there and you know that exclusively, and then there's only one other place you can find me, you're going to go to those two places to look for me. So it's just building the traffic and bringing the traffic there.
100%. When we come forward, we'll have more with Loren Lorasa. No? Okay. We're locked in? Well, no. Then we're going to ride a little bit more. Let me tell you that we have some comments in the chat. Terry says he would never put a restraining order on you, Loren. So,
oh, baby.
Shout out to him.
Thank you for saying that, Terry. Maybe you send me your number, because the way I be blocked.
Listen. Clearly the people love it. Like,
I might need to Terry, you seem like you're a writer. You down for anything, hit me up.
Because listen, here's the thing about the block stuff. I feel like some of that is just for show, because, you know, through their friends or through their, you know, burner account, they're going to be checking it out and seeing what's up, because they always know.
Because we're Sagittarius. Y'all love it here. Come on.
Right? Come on.
You all right? You good?
Look,
you
Kamal's
good?
like, look. Kamal's all in trance. You're a Capricorn. Oh,
we'll talk about that later.
Right. Listen. So, I want to ask you, right? You set out your goals, your ambitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think, I know you believed in yourself always. You have that confidence. It's exuding from you. But did you think when you touched down in LA, however many years ago, that you would be where you are now as far as a national figure on these different shows and, like, planting your flag and raising it up at this level?
No. Like, I knew, because I've always done pretty big things. Like, even before I got to LA, my internships, my jobs, like, from a young age, have always been, like, very notable brands. And, you know, like, I've always just been not just anybody. But at the same time, coming to LA was, like, it was so different. Like, you talk about, like small fish, big pond. This was like swimming with the sharks, literally, and like having to learn to swim, then having to learn how to fight the sharks, then having to learn how to feed the sharks to keep them around for when you need them. It was just like a whole different ball game.
You said
right?
a word right there.
Yeah, like it's been a whole different ball game. So I necessarily, it's not that I didn't think that I would get here, because I've never ever placed limits on myself, ever. But it wasn't like, I just wanted to be able to pay my rent in LA. Like, that was my biggest goal, was like, how can I live by myself, afford to pay my rent, and live my life, and like buy the clothes I like to buy, and just get myself out there to the world. Like, I got into the talk space because I was modeling, and during that time when I was modeling, like, you know, girl with personality, full lips, big boobs, you're not making it to couture runways, and I wanted to do couture. That was my thing. So I remember Rihanna covered a magazine with Iman and Naomi Campbell. I think it was W Magazine. I was in college, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, bet, I'm going to just go become famous. And once I become famous, I can get on any magazine I want to get on. Cool, I'm going to just move to LA and figure it out. So, like, I knew coming here, like, I was going to do some things, but I didn't know it was going to happen the way it happened. Like, literally, TMZ was my first real media job here. I only had one other job in LA prior to that. And then I got at TMZ, and it just kind of, so the way and the trajectory that it happened, I didn't really necessarily expect that. But I never placed limits on myself. So it's not that I didn't expect for me to get to this point, but I think it just all happened so fast. Even now, things are just happening so fast, and I'm like, wait, okay, hold on, cool, okay, great, boom. You said you wanted to do this. This is happening. You said you planned on this. You talked about this. This is happening. So I don't know if that answers your question. So it's like a yes and no thing. Like, I didn't necessarily know, but like I did. Like, I always prepared for it, but I just didn't know.
Okay. Well, you have to let everyone know where they can find you, right?
Okay.
So, no, you're still here rocking if you want to be rocking, but I just, in general, in the middle, we want to make sure that, because you said a lot, right? They want to tap in right now.
Yes. So please tap in with me right now. If you're on Twitter, I'm Loren Lorasa on Twitter, LorenLorosa. I'm Loren Lorasa on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you are at, come and find me. Talk about this interview. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like. If you don't like Sagittariuses, don't come in my DM unless you at me. No, but like,
spam the Breakfast Club.
Please spam the Breakfast Club. They started calling me LL Cool Bae when I was there, so you can hit them in the DM, the messages, add them from your Insta story, your Twitter, Loren Lorasa for Breakfast Club, LL Cool Bae for Breakfast Club, # Brown Girl Grinding. They gonna know what y'all talking about because we there. I appreciate everything.
So, okay. And make sure that you guys are tapped in on Friday when she comes back on.
Yes.
So, I mentioned when we come forward, we're going to get into the Jamar Chase story because we love a good one-night stand that involves restraining orders and, complicated situations.
Way too much.
Things that involve social media and blasting, including the mom. We talked a little bit about this last night, but there's some more details that have been added on. And, of course, the internet's detectives have gone to work. So there's more to add to the story. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about academics and his comments about SZA. They were so egregious, out of line, that Drake had to step in. And it actually caused academics to have a bit of a change of heart. So we're going to discuss his change of heart and his commentary about SZA and sort of his approach to media and what we think of it. All of that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. CNN is reporting Black Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has asked for a trial date of March 4th, 2024 for former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants. All are accused of crimes involving an alleged scheme of overturning the 2020 election. The request would potentially put the trial a day before Trump competes in the Super Tuesday primary contests. Meantime, the White House can't confirm the comments attributed to Black American soldier Travis King, who crossed into North Korea last month. Black Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said officials have not had contact with North Korea or King. State-run media in North Korea confirmed King crossed into the territory and claimed he did so to flee abuse and racism in the U.S. military. King sprinted into North Korea while on tour of the demilitarized zone. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, we're Comparing Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at comparinginsurance.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations. And we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, Our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
I see you, Kamal, staying on theme, flowing with the conversation that we are having tonight. Started from the bottom, now we here, right? Shout out to Loren Lorasa, Brown Girl Grinding. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. We are in the second hour. Let me remind you, the YouTube chat is always going up. It's always lit in there. Make sure you check that out. You can download the app, KBLA, get all of the hosts, all of the shows live there when you want it on demand. And if you have comments about this conversation or you just want to say hi, hit us up, 800-920-1580. Those are the numbers for the power line. I am joined by Trent Jackson, our Keep It Real friend. You know, it is Wednesday. Yes. And Loren Lorasa.
Hey.
So I mentioned that there is an, oh my God, I deleted
Y'all take
your
callers
name.
too?
We do. It's live. We're on live radio right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all popping. It's always. So you have a question. This is from the YouTube chat. And I'm sorry because it turned over. I missed your name. Trent is going to get it for me, though. He's looking like maybe. But he said, Loren, you are very confident, but you also seem to stay ready for your opportunities. How do you also stay open for new possibilities that you may not be familiar with and need to grow to explore?
Breaking Ground is the person.
Breaking Ground.
Yes.
Shout out to Breaking Ground for the question.
I think that's just that's me. I've been in this space for a little bit of time. The world is just now watching me do it. So I have like really good people around me who will remind me like, don't close yourself off. You never know. You know what I mean? Like I have a really good support system. Tanisha Cameron, who's my manager. Just good friends too, who are like, you know, that's different for you, but I think you should explore. But also too, being at TMZ and being in just so many different spaces, I've had to learn a lot about like, it might not be what you want it to be, but you got to make it what it needs to be. So yeah, and you just never know. Like, I've also worked a lot of different jobs. Like, I've been in marketing corporate. I've been a flight attendant. Right now, work in sales for a tequila brand where I'm meeting all different type of people.
Shout out to Lobos.
Lobo 1707